Hello, good day, happy Monday, happy hot summer day, everybody. Welcome to Cobblestone Freeway's semi-weekly video cast. This week, we are very excited to have Kristina Frykas from Winnipeg, Manitoba. Let's give her a big round of applause. Everybody, welcome, Kristina. Thanks for joining us. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
And you are right now, I believe, in your brand new Casca Dance Studio in Winnipeg. Tell
I
us a
am.
little bit about that.
I am. I am in Cosca Dance Collective. Here it is behind me.
Wow,
Um,
nicely
and
done.
thank you. I opened up actually just last summer in August, and basically, I felt like the city needed a place
Yeah,
for folk dance groups to have a healthy, safe, professionally run like dance environment, not being
right.
in basements or whatever. So with the help of we've got a group here called the Women's Enterprise Center. They were able to help me on this journey, and Sopilka Ukrainian Dance School also
Good.
helped with it. And so now it houses Sopilka Ukrainian Dance School, Troyanda Ukrainian Dance Ensemble. There's a group called Kadima. It's Winnipeg's newest Israeli dance group.
Okay, good.
And then this year, starting on Thursdays in September, I'll have an Italian group here as well. And then I run my own ballet classes and Pilates and
Well,
hypocrisy.
you took away everything I was going to say about introducing you. For those people that don't know you or why we're talking to you, Kristina is obviously a dance instructor and an artistic director of many groups. And you're probably thinking, what does folk dance groups have to do with Cobblestone Freeway tours? Well, a lot of people don't know that folk dance groups were kind of how Cobblestone got started. The first tours were actually folk dance group tours
Yeah.
of Ukrainian dance groups that wanted to visit Ukraine. And Kristina, you're the artistic director of like 7,000 dance groups, right?
Just two.
Just two. So you're artistic director of Troyanda from
Yeah.
Selkirk, yes.
Yeah.
Sopilka from Winnipeg.
And that's it.
Plus, you're the owner and operator of Kaska Dance Collective. Kaska meaning
Fairy tale.
fairy tale in Ukrainian, which is a great apropos name.
Yeah.
And you've just started a new thing. Like many of the people that come to your classes are Ukrainian dancers that want to train. And so
Yeah.
you've started a new thing called hypocrisy, right?
I did. So basically, I really believe in fitness, but
Mhm.
I have a really hard time personally going to the gym. Not my favorite thing. And
Right.
so what I did
I
is
could just see you doing like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 polka on the treadmill. That'd be great.
oh yeah, no, I think I'd fall on my face. I don't think I'd have coordination to do that. But no, I took the bits of Ukrainian dance that I like, the bits of Pilates that I like, the bits of
Right.
dance conditioning, and I kind of put it all together and made sort of this formula that I find really effective. And it's not just for dancers. Like I have some mums that they've been watching their children dance for all of these years and they never danced. So instead of going to step class, now they come to hypocrisy.
Well, that's good. Now, you're not just a glorified Ukrainian dance instructor. You're actually a certified, very highly qualified and certified ballet instructor. You lived and studied in Italy, and you worked with the Royal Winnipeg Ballet in their teacher training program for many, many years. Tell us
Yeah.
a little bit about that.
When I graduated from high school, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to do something with dance.
Yeah.
And at the time in Winnipeg, there was only two programs you could do, which were post-secondary. One was the
Right.
Royal Winnipeg Ballet Teacher Training Program. The other was Contemporary Dancers.
Okay.
So I enrolled in the program, and I was within the first week of assisting, and I was assigned to assist this class called Mighty Movers, which was ballet for little boys.
Mhm.
And that was it. I wanted to teach. I wanted to teach ballet after that. So it was a 3-year post-secondary program, and so I graduated from there and taught at the Royal Winnipeg Ballet for about I don't know, almost 20 years. I think it
Yeah.
would have been 20
Till
had
just
I.
last year, right?
So this past year, yeah. So it was 19 years I was there. And I think it was either 6 or 7 of those years I worked specifically in the teacher training program.
And how long did you live and train in Italy for?
Just 1 year.
Just
Yeah,
1 year.
it was 10 months. Like I studied at a school and taught for them as well for a year.
So your passion for travel and dance is all just part of your life, and
Absolutely.
uh, great segue to back to cobblestone tours. Uh, this may be up for debate. There's one gentleman out there that may argue this, but I believe you're the record holder of the person who's been on the most cobblestone freeway tours ever, right? It's
It's awesome.
I think tell us what was your first. Well, first of all, we actually met in Ukraine at a dance workshop. That's how we met and became friends many years ago. Training in Kiev at the Virsky studio. We spent a week sweating everything off, dancing and partying and living life in Kiev. And
Yeah.
then I think it was the following year that Cobblestone started offering tours, and you came on one of our first tours in 2011.
But the first tour was 2011. We met in 2009, and I like to think that you coming on that, being on the same tour with some mutual friends of ours in 2009, and conversations that we had about what we loved about the program that we were doing and what was missing. Is I think I would like to say that I'm a little bit instrumental in how you put your tours
You,
together.
of course, you inspired me to start Cobblestone for sure. But yeah, no, the seeds were already planted, and you guys maybe helped water the
Seeds. Yeah.
seeds a little bit. So, but since then, you've been on, I believe, 5 Cobblestone Freeway tours, right? 5.
Yes.
So there's a couple people out there. I know Shane Gibson and Leslie Powaretsky. They are, if not equal, they're close in that, and we're going to try and get them on in the coming weeks as well. So we'll at the end of that we'll reveal who's the record holder. But anyway, 5 trips with Cobblestone. We are so grateful. Myself, my team here in Canada and in Ukraine and Lviv, some of them have become such good friends of yours. And tell us, your first tour was a dance teacher training workshop tour that we did in 2011. Yeah. What was that like?
It was amazing. I still, like, to this day, that's still one of my favorite trips that I've ever been on. We did Hutsulshina, Bukovena, Kutia, and I feel like we were in Kiev as well.
Yeah, many of our trips fly into Kiev and then we travel around, but I don't remember if we did anything in Kiev that year.
Or maybe it was Lviv that year. I can't remember. I can't remember where.
But the Ukraine Dance Workshop Tour every year goes to different locations, and you've come on that trip twice.
Yes. Yeah. So
now, go ahead.
Yeah. No. The tour. The first tour was in the mountains and more Carpathian, and then the second tour was Zaporizhia, Odessa, Kiev, Poltava, and Kirovohrad, but now it's called Kropelnitsky. Is that correct?
Correct. The city of Kirovohrad, which is actually the dance capital of Ukraine. You've never heard of it. Most people have never heard of it. But it has one of the best training schools in Ukraine.
100%.
Yeah, and it's now called Kropelnitsky.
Of all the places that we've trained, that was the icing on the cake for sure.
If anyone has any questions for Kristina while we're doing this, we're live now. So if you have any questions, feel free to write them in. If we don't get to you during the chat, we'll get to you afterwards. But Kristina, as an instructor, how do you think these workshops changed you as a Ukrainian dance instructor?
Well, I think it's 2 parts. I think one part of it is the formula that you guys designed. And so it was that formula of seeing where it comes from in the village, like the absolute roots of where it all comes from. Then having the opportunity to work with children's ensembles, and then seeing it as an ensemble. So when you see it in those 3 tiers, then you can really say, okay, this is where now I understand more of where it all comes from. And then this is sort of then, as an artist, this is the artistic license that I can take, or maybe the artistic license I shouldn't take, in how I'm putting things together. But I think there's a real, because it's worked it's done in that way that you really get a very well-rounded understanding of where it all came from and where all the groups, what the ensembles have taken things.
And that's so you've a lot of the things you learned on the trip you get to use in all the groups that you teach.
So practical. It's like you are learning practical information. It's like, especially because like one of the struggles that I had when I graduated from the teacher training program is I felt really like, wait a minute here, I learned so much about classical ballet and I'm supposed to now teach Ukrainian dance, and now I feel like I know nothing because I had from this program with learning so much. And I actually was on my way to going to Ukraine for a year, and some fear was put into my parents that it wasn't maybe the best idea at the time. So I didn't go, and I went to Toronto. I taught in Toronto instead, and I was with Malinowski for a year at Arkan and at Stafira Studio. So I learned a lot in that way, but it was that practical experience that I had wonderful teachers in Winnipeg, but there was so few people that actually had the opportunity to go to Ukraine. Like it's not cheap to get there. Maybe once you're there, it's cheaper, but I think just sort of those opportunities weren't there, and then all of a sudden it was like,
so many misunderstandings and stereotypes negative about what Ukraine is like. But Ukraine, it's a big question mark for so many people. I've had even people say, well, I'm not going back to Ukraine because my ancestors left for a good reason, which, times have changed. And yes, Ukraine has problems, but all countries have problems. But Ukraine is a really beautiful, diverse, and there's so much to see. Kristina, you've been back 5 times. Do you still get excited when you go?
Yeah. Oh, well, I got to tell you, this month has been just heartbreaking because we would have been in preparation for I was supposed to take 67. We would have been leaving, I think, August 7th.
Yes.
And along came COVID. And so hopefully.
Along came COVID.
I'm just trying to, people keep asking, well, are you going to go next year? And I think it's really difficult for anybody to make any decisions about the future right now about anything.
Oh yeah, we're all kind of in a holding pattern. Yeah. But this isn't the first time you got bumped. I think you were supposed to go to Ukraine with your group in 2014, and then of course the conflict in eastern Ukraine happened, and tourism to Ukraine just ground to a halt. But up until that point, we actually only did tours to Ukraine, and it was 2014, and it was your group, Troyanda, that year from Selkirk. We decided, well, let's go somewhere else. And we ended up going to. Why don't you tell?
Okay, we went to the majority was Croatia, but we flew into Croatia, but we had a bus, so we went through Slovenia and Slovakia as well. We went to Hungary and we went to Austria. It was amazing, the places that we saw and the things that we did, and everybody was just sort of like, for me, up until that point, even though I have traveled a lot and I really enjoy European travel, Budapest was that on my list, and we went, and I can't wait for the opportunity to go back again. It was like it was the most amazing surprise on all of it.
Well, that's the thing about lots of Eastern Europe. I find that people have heard of Croatia, they've heard of Hungary, they've heard of Ukraine, maybe they know a little bit. But when you get there, you really find out how amazingly rich it is. I did a bit of research, and Croatia gets 4 times as many tourists as Ukraine in a year. They get about 60 million. Ukraine gets about 15 million. But Croatia is actually way smaller. Sorry, I'm mixed up. I'm sorry. I'm talking about Hungary. Hungary gets about 60 million. Ukraine gets about 15 million. But Ukraine is 10 times bigger than Hungary, so that just goes to show how much is there to see in Ukraine yet. So lots of places to go still. So one of the things, Kristina, that I would be remiss if I didn't touch on is you were really moved by a visit to the school in the Carpathian Mountains, the Bukkovets School. And maybe people are tired of hearing about it because we talk about Bukkovets School a lot, and we just did a bit of a campaign to collect electronics. But you initiated a fundraiser last year, and in one evening we raised, I think, about $8,000 to go and do some renovations and help improve the school because it's in a bit of rough shape. Tell me about Bukkovets and what impression it made on you.
The thing about, I think the biggest impression was like, you get there and then you know, everybody's so kind and welcoming and like yes, I teach adults, but definitely I am a teacher of children. Like my favorite people in the world are small people. So being there and being with the children and then knowing like, oh gosh, like this is where they go to the bathroom and this is what their classrooms are like. You know, you just your heart sort of breaks for them. But the key is that Slavka said to us, yes, we teach them math and science and everything else, but it's so important that we continue their traditions, that they understand what it means for them to be Hutzels. And he said, and number one, we just teach them to be good people. And I was like, oh, I'm done. That's it. Like that, you know, and it's, you think like, oh, that's basic, but it's not. There's not a lot of people that think that way. And if we
get
want
so busy with our, you know, things.
And let's, you know, you just like, he just wants to make and be part of creating good people.
Yeah.
And if our world is going to be a good place, we need people who are with children who are teaching them to be good people. So
that school was in danger of being shut down because it was falling apart a little bit, and they thought about sending the kids off to other schools in other districts, which would kind of collapse the community. And that community is really dedicated to maintaining their traditions. And we felt that was very important too. And we ended up starting this foundation. You know, partly it was an idea that we had, and you kicked it into high gear because all of a sudden we had $8,000 to get to Ukraine, and we had to figure out how to do it properly. And so now we have this Cobblestone Freeway Foundation, and we collect donations, and we're supporting this school and hopefully other schools. The main idea, Kristina, maybe you can help me flesh out this one too, because clearly you've helped us flesh out several ideas. But intangible culture, which is, you know, it's a mug. You can touch it. You could put a souvenir sticker on the bottom if you wanted to. You know, you can put it in a museum. Intangible culture is the stuff that you can't put your finger on it. You can't touch it. You have to experience it. And in Ukrainian, they say "morashka bihayut." It's like you get a shivers up your spine, and that feeling, that energy that happens when you're with those people, that you can't recreate. It has to be experienced, and that's the idea that we want to perpetuate. You know?
Well, you know, like I think that first, I've said this to you and Paul Olinik before, from that 2009 when we had met. It's like it's the awakening of the sleeping giant. Like that, there, you know, there's you have this idea of you know what your purpose is, and then you go to these places and it's like, oh my God, like this is like it really it awakens something in you, and it causes you to you know, you can now, nothing is stable now because of COVID, but like leaving the stability of my Royal Winnipeg Ballet full-time job and saying, no, I'm going to do Ukrainian dance full-time. And you know, like maybe in Saskatchewan and Alberta there's lots of full-time Ukrainian dance teachers, but in Manitoba it's me. Like there's nobody else that has made the decision to just do this full-time.
And how lucky are we that have got and had that, because I did that full-time for many years, the chance to spend your life doing something that you're passionate about.
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, you can't have the same things, but again, I'm not a things kind of person. So it's, you know, it's all those experiences. And when people ask, what is it about Ukraine? The only word that I can ever come up with is it's magic.
Well, I thought you were gonna say pierogies or pirohe or vareniki. I'm glad you didn't.
Very good, especially the cherry ones.
The cherry ones are delicious. But yeah, I think travel really has an impact on people. People always come back changed from travel. My very first trip to Ukraine was 1992. It was just a year after the collapse of the Soviet Union. And it was beautiful, but yet sketchy, and it was fascinating. And I felt like I was really witnessing history. And I came home and it changed me. I didn't come home with a mission, but subconsciously, you're different after a trip.
Yeah.
So what would you say to other Ukrainian dance instructors or dance groups about whether they should go to Ukraine or not?
Well, it's a little bit like you what's the saying about taking the horse to the well and not the well to the horse? Isn't there some kind of a saying like that?
Oh, sounds like a good one, but I don't know that one.
leading the horse to the well or something like that.
You can lead a horse to water. Is that the one?
Or something. I don't know.
You can't make him drink.
I get things mixed up all the time, so I'm the wrong person to ask. But you have to, if you want to really know where it all comes from, you have to go to the source. There's this the only way you can understand. And I did that, I teach the Italian style of classical ballet. That's why I went to Italy. I didn't go to Russia and I wanted to understand who's this Enrico Cicchetti guy. And so off I went to Ukraine or to Italy.
Right.
And then just the same thing that kept happening with Ukrainian dance. And there's I love Virsky and everything that they stand for, but it's interesting to see that was sort of our only exposure in a lot of ways. The way that the Virsky school, the Avramenko school, and then you go to Hutzulshtina and you're like, wait a minute, these are the actual Hutzuls and they're doing the steps totally different than I would have done it. Or you go to Bukkovets, we're used to bouncing around and with our Bukko steps, and then you go to Bukkovets and they're all pushing on your shoulders, being like, I don't know what you're doing, but stop bouncing
into the floor, into the earth. Yes. That's a good point. I mean, we grew up doing Hutsul when we were kids, Hutsul dancing, bouncing our arms around like this. And you get there and they don't really do it that way. And there's nothing wrong with what happens on stage and all the choreographers that have created wonderful art. But knowing what the art is based in, the roots, what it's based on. People always say that expression, but we're trying to push the envelope. I always say, yeah, but you don't know what the envelope looks like first. You have to learn first.
Yeah, and I'm all for artistic interpretation and trying new things and putting things together. But how can you fuse something together if you don't know what it really is? And you do, the more that you educate yourself, the more, I find there's certain regions that I kind of shy away from because those are places I didn't actually go yet. And so if I have to, I'll call somebody. I'm very grateful for our relationship, that I can ask you questions about things. Last October, I went to Sahi for a whole weekend in Saskatoon, and I had a list of questions that I had wanted to know the answers for. And I think one thing that to me is really cool is that all these tours started in 2011. And now, I have all of these resources of people to ask. And
it's become a network, almost like a community of instructors, right? Yeah.
There's a different skill set that you have, that Paul Olinik has, that Shane has, that then there's Tamadas over in Vancouver, and you get to meet all these people from all over the place. And you have a question and you go on your page that you started with dance instructors, and there's your answer. Or advice.
We never had that when we first started teaching.
Yeah, and I do, and I think that there's a way, sometimes people don't want to necessarily share knowledge or share music or share things. And I think that maybe that's a sign of the past. I feel like what Cobblestone has created is a different sense of community that I feel like there is a lot more sharing. Like it's really nice to, you go on those Facebook pages and somebody says, here's this video, who's got this music? And, and then there it is. Whereas
That's good.
people,
And I hope so. And I hope it continues.
yeah, like it's great
Next,
to know
next
you
year,
can send an
go ahead.
email. You can send an email or pick up the phone and there's somebody from across Canada that you met on a tour.
Right. Well, next year we are going to go to some regions that we haven't spent much time in. Podillia, which is sort of central western Ukraine. Podillia is a region I think many instructors in Canada don't know a lot about. So you're welcome to come on the Ukraine S Workshop tour next year. And I just wanted to give a shout out here to Katarina Hutzel from Zirka Band, who's saying that she also loves Bukkovets, and that her experience in Ukraine, the word she also uses is magical. So, and hello to Felicia. Thank you for jumping in, everybody. There's so much we could talk about, Kristina, from the trips to Croatia to future trips to one time. I can't forget to bring this up. One time you went on 3 tours at the same time.
I did.
You were on 3 tours at the same time. How did that happen?
That was in 2017. I had a really small group of girls at Sopielka that wanted to go. And then I had a large group with Troyanda that wanted to go. And I thought, well, what the heck? Why don't we all just go together?
Right.
Actually, in the summer, they learned some joint dances too, which was really cool. Bring dances together. But it was also a good family friend of mine was getting married in Ukraine that summer, and all washticians went to Ukraine. So there was a washtician tour, a Troyanda tour, and a Sopielka tour all happening at the same time.
And you were just like you were just the web that kept everything held together, hey?
And it was like, and my parents and my aunt and uncle, they were like so very impressed with the way that everything was put together. And they actually were there at the time when it was the festival as well.
Right.
So being at the club and seeing all the shows and doing all these different things was really cool.
So you've brought your groups to the International Ukrainian Dance and Culture Festival that's held in Lviv every August.
Yeah.
For this August, unfortunately. It was supposed to be our 5th anniversary this year. So we stay tuned, everybody. We are going to have a little bit of an online tribute to our festival, but we're going to do it in the fall. I think in the summer, people are not wanting to spend their evenings in front of a laptop or a computer. So we're going to do it in the fall. But look forward to having everybody back to Ukraine next August. And if you've already been to Ukraine, then like Kristina, you can take your groups to Croatia or Hungary or elsewhere. And we've really been working with the community in South America, the Brazilian Ukrainian community, to put on a festival there, because many groups that have already been to Ukraine want to go somewhere else. So,
I will say though, one thing with that though is I gotta say it never gets old. Like, I could go every summer. Right. I could just Lviv every summer, and it's so wonderful that I don't, and there's so much to take in that, you can't think that, oh, I went once or twice, that's it. Like it really, keep on going.
Lviv is a bit of a fairy tale city, and anyone that's gone has just sort of been blown away by it, and they can't get enough of it. So I feel really lucky that I get to spend a lot of time there. And I welcome everybody to come join us in Lviv. If you want to pick a tour from our website or design a custom tour for your family, for your dance group, please, by all means. Kristina, thank you so much. It's been really fun to catch up, and I'm sure we could chat for hours, but
yes.
We'll see you in Ukraine soon enough. Sopielka, Troyanda, and everybody, the whole Washington clan. Hello, Privit. We'll see you in Ukraine soon. Enjoy the rest of your summer.
Thank you. You too.
And we'll talk again soon. Bye, Kristina. Thank you.
Bye.